Buenas noches, bienvenidos una vez más a FCTV. Señores, les doy la bienvenida. We're going to have a show in English, but we switch over in a little bit. Hoy es lunes 23 de octubre de 2023. Les damos la bienvenida. Un programa que va a ser muy bueno, tenemos muy buenos invitados y por eso lo vamos a hacer en inglés. Pero quiero dar una mención bien rápida acerca de lo que fue la portada, una explicación muy rápida. Nosotros, y le voy a pedir a Neft que si puede traducir, y vamos a empezar desde ahí, Neft. El día sábado nosotros tuvimos un pequeño problema que nos sacaron de la conferencia de prensa.
So Saturday we had a problem with the press conference in which we were kicked out of.
Nosotros estábamos tratando de hablar con el técnico y del jugador que fuera.
We were trying to speak with Coach Josh Wolff and the player that was going to be designated.
Y nos sacaron como en el año 2021, nos sacaron, como llegó a pasar en el año 2021.
So we were kicked out just like in 2021.
Igual que en el 2021 nos dijeron que había sido una dificultad técnica.
And again in 2021 we were told it was a technical difficulty.
Entonces, queremos decirles que no estamos molestos con eso. Al contrario, nos da mucha risa.
We just want to say that we're not upset about it. We actually laugh at the situation.
Porque creemos que el hecho de no dejarnos expresar es algo que creemos que les da miedo.
We believe that the fact that they do not allow us to express ourselves is something that scares them.
Y con eso tenemos.
And with that, that's enough for us.
Vámonos. Yeah, Chiqui Whiskey's here. Señores, welcome to FCTV again. Now we're gonna do this in English. Señores que hablan español, I'm sorry. Next week we're gonna go back to English. Miguelito's not here. He's sick. I think he's Austin FC sick. Anyways, Scott.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome again.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's always a great time.
Neftali, bienvenido de regreso.
Gracias, sir.
Y Jordan, welcome. Welcome. And on your debut here on FCTV. Okay, Gio, vamos a empezar. Okay, right there is Jordan. Sorry, we had a late. We have a. Ahí está. Okay, if you want to follow Neftali, right there is Neftali 723. And if you want to follow Jordan, Jordan is what is it?
$10 hot dog.
$10 hot dog, which it was I think on the beginning of the season 2021. Because now it's like 18, right?
Oh,
Probably.
and probably 20 next year.
Yeah, probably 20 next year.
Exactly. Okay, Scott, let's start with you. What do you think about everything?
I mean, it's really disappointing that it happens in the same city twice in 3 seasons. It's also just disappointing that, you know, for somebody who goes to every match and covers every match and shows up in the press conferences, and you know, MLS as a league needs more local reporting like what you do. And, you know, we've seen the Austin media, you know, keep dwindling down and to where at times where it is only you and Phil asking questions. And it's disappointing that for somebody who's put in as much work as you have, that Austin doesn't reciprocate that and give you an opportunity to talk to them.
Because I forgot to mention, we were kicked out, the both of us, but the only person who got the opportunity to talk to Wolffito and to talk to Josh Wolff, it wasn't me. So it's just like the way we say it, no?
Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah, it is what it is, but it's unfortunate because this team and this league does not have a lack of coverage, or rather, it's missing a lot of coverage.
No.
If it wants to grow the way that it's saying that it wants to, this is not the way to go.
Anything to say?
Yeah, I do think it's interesting that this has happened twice. And was the other time in San Jose as well?
No, the other time was we lost four games in a row on that time, and I was waiting, and then they kicked me out. Then I try, and actually, you guys like Hernan,
we're Austin TV.
We're Austin TV got very upset, and they were very solidary with us. This is different. I mean, right now it's different, but it happened that time, and it was the same. I think it was the same guys, the guys from. I think it was the beginning of Ryan as a. But either way, man, it's like it's just the way you guys say. I mean, two people covering an MLS team. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I do think, like Neff and Scott touched on it, the issues with media coverage. A lot of the media in MLS is just working for MLS, the Apple TV crew, MLS 360. Some of the guys have gone out to the Athletic, but you really have this sort of like fraternal like media culture around the league. So you're not going to naturally get as much criticism or pushback against, whatever the PR that the league is putting out or the teams are putting out.
Yeah, it's okay, guys. I mean, we're going to try to be there. Because sometimes we believe they think they're doing a favor to us. I think we get 100%. No, let me see, 6,000% more views on Austin Latino that Club Deportes. So we're trying our best to keep the people, especially the people who speak Spanish, because the Fans 9, we're Austin TV, North End podcast, all the guys who do. Podcast or information in English, they do a great job. I mean, if they like it or not, you have a lot to choose from.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of more variety in English than there is in Spanish.
It's also one of the things you notice is that all of that is fan based. And that's a lot of people who are really doing a labor of love about the club to be able to cover it and provide those perspectives. And I've been writing articles for We Are Austin TV this year, looking at other teams, and I try to do research on them. And there are some places that are just deserts, like you look at like Colorado or Salt Lake, and even like Chicago has like. For a city as big as Chicago, and for a team that was like one of the original teams, they have like one blog that follows the team, and that's all they have. And so it just, I wouldn't want Austin to go that same direction of just not having those outlets, not having those opinions.
But we are. I know you say once in the on the fan reactions, you said once that that was not a sold out. It was you or somebody else. But anyways, somebody else. Somebody said, there is not a sold out because they announced it was a sold out. I think it was after, I don't know if it was with Chicago or a game from, like a regular game. And it was, the city was almost 3/4.
Yeah, because it's become an issue of attendance. Like, you can have the ticket sold out, but if it's not worth it for me to show up, if the team's not performing, if the team's not giving me a reason to believe, then why am I going to show up?
And I think a lot of season ticket holders, especially in the West stands or some of the club seats, they've spent so much money on those tickets, but for certain games, when on SeatGeek you go on and it's like half the cost of what you paid for it, it's not even worth selling for them in some cases, especially if they have money. So I think that's where a lot of empty seats come from. The sports section is always full, but again, a lot of people in there, if they can't go, they may be offloading their tickets for a lot less than they got them for as well.
The season ticket holders are at a loss right now. And I speak being one of them.
Yeah, same.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I told Miguelito. I had a friend who has 8. He bought it for a business, to do business. He said this year he lost. He lost a lot because he had to sell. Even the LAFC game, he sold it for like a price.
Oh, yeah.
Not even he couldn't get more than that.
Wow.
Yeah. Last year, I could have sold mine for 500, maybe.
Yeah,
both of them.
I bought when I
couldn't sell it for 50 this year.
Oh yeah, no. If you go on SeatGeek like before the matches, you see a lot of supporter section tickets at $20, and the reason why it's $20 is that's the lowest that SeatGeek lets you resell at. Like they actually have a floor to it, and so you just see the $20 ones just rack up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And I bought a ticket. I swear, I bought a ticket from my daughter. I don't remember the game, but it was $18. Wow. So I got it in and you know what we do? Honestly, to save money because she's always behind what I work. we wait until the end of the, like almost the beginning of the game. That's when the cheapest tickets you can.
Yeah.
But anyways, is that the reflex or the reason why we're having a bad season? Who wants to start? Let's start with it.
I'll say this. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of when you're trying to defend like what has been clearly a pattern of like not great management. Previous sporting director obviously left us with a lot of problems. But when you're trying to defend that, you start blaming other people. Anyone who's not in power, misdirected blame, and a lot of that seems to go to fans. Oh, they shouldn't be singing here, or we need to do this here, and in reality, I think these are all just symptoms of like what we're seeing is a team that did a good job of connecting with the city on sort of a business level, on sort of like a transactional level right away, and then we had a good second season. But now what we're seeing is there doesn't seem to be a lot of good faith, and this goes back to the reporting issue, and the press conference issue, and the way the coach approaches press conferences. It's not something that's naturally endearing. Being from Central Texas, people here aren't really they're not really gonna fall for bullshit that easily and PR spin, and people are gonna have their independent takes on things regardless of what the club says or the coach says. And I think that there's just the people in the front office or whoever, the owner, they either don't care or they haven't realized that. They haven't realized that this isn't just another market and that they aren't just another team. They are the professional sports scene in Austin, Texas. And they don't seem to really appreciate that, I think, yet.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, but I do have a little bit of a twist to it, because I don't think it's a single thing that's wrong. It's multiple and well more than we're maybe even aware of, but I think the head of it starts with RFO, our ownership, right? Because at some point you got to stop blaming Josh Wolff and the players. You got to start thinking, who's making decisions above them, right? Why are those people still here? Why is it that they're not moving, or what's not motivating them? So at the top of that, I think, would be our ownership, and I think that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a famous quote of saying that the biggest competitive advantage in sports is ownership. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big believer just in club vibes. I think that actually matters. That's a thing. Mm-hmm. When there's a lot of turmoil in the front office between the fans, you see it on the field. And this season, before the season even started, had really bad vibes, and we kind of never got out of it because of the early exits from CCL and those bad game matches
right from the start.
Yeah, just immediately. And so it just carried through the entire
season. Let me go. You just got a good point. How are we going to start 2024?
I mean, well,
worst.
In a positive way, we can look at. I mean, I'm not sure if we're going to talk about the Burrell press conference. So that entire press conference was in a very not subtle way, was him just basically saying, everything that happened before me was terrible. We're going to try to fix everything. It's all his fault. We're going to try and fix it. While also trying to act like keeping the coach and the coaching staff isn't part of fixing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is just damage control, really. And I don't think anybody at this point really wants to believe that, even with the numbers that Josh Wolff has, how could he possibly? I mean, you have already quite a bit of journalists even pointing it out. How is this guy still having a job? I mean, Adrian Healy came out and said it.
Okay, Gio, ponnos la gráfica de que nos dio we're gonna watch the game and we're gonna watch everything. Gio Iturralde en controles, so I forgot to mention that. Iturraldita, it's in controles. And pon la gráfica, Gio. We're gonna see this graphic. Yes. This is a graphic that the False 9 Texas sent me. And, should I didn't mistake, right? You sent it.
Yeah,
okay, good. Okay. You sent it to me. Okay, because I asked him, what do you have to put on the screen? And tell us a little bit about it.
So
nice picture, though.
This was a great game.
The picture's great. In all honesty, that should be their holiday card. That really should be what they send out. So I wanted to look at it because I think a lot of the Wolff in kind of narrative is this idea that we shouldn't count the first season because of it being an expansion season.
Yeah.
And I think that's dishonest. The extension happened 12 matches into the second season.
Yeah.
And so I'm one of those people. I keep track of Austin FC results, and so I put a little line in of here's when the extension happened. I just totaled it before and after. And you can see that even after getting the extension, which a lot of us thought was way too early.
Yeah, but
it's still not like the record has been amazing.
No, on the pre-extension, in the pre-extension, 30 games with no victory, and just half of it with victory. Okay, and you know what? I just watched on this picture. It's the perfect picture. Look at Cascante on the back. Look at Cascante on the back. That's a perfect picture for.
I was looking down on this from the away section at the Bank of California Stadium. It was beautiful.
Yeah, man, Cascante's on the back like, I didn't do a mistake, they say. Wow, anyways. So the post-extension, go ahead. Who want to comment about this?
Well, something about this too that I've been thinking about because I think about this number a lot because when the extension happened, I was really excited about the start to the season we were having, but it immediately just kind of took the air out of it. It was like, oh, this could be really bad in the long term. And Austin FC was 6 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws when the extension was announced. But, how long was it in the works? You can't just write those up overnight. So I feel like literally we won the first 2 games of the season at home and then gave him the extension. That takes time to work out, And so the record could even be worse when it was announced.
Yeah, no. See this is when I really start to realize that the overachieving did more damage than good at all because it masked everything that was going on. I mean, Jorge, you've mentioned it. The team really started to show a turn into it when Rigoni was introduced into the team, and
that was numbers.
Yeah, and it's the numbers, and you could just see it on the field. I mean, you could see the lack of chemistry and just some. But on the players, it just didn't look
okay. But
right.
but that's what we don't understand, and this is what I'm afraid to see on 2024, which is you saw how long it was, like 27 games from Rigoni to do something, to score, I think it was an assistance or goal or something. 27 games, right? Julio Cascante, it's like mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. Forget about his salary. Forget about his everything. We're talking about points, right?
Yeah.
About points. He did the mistake on Saturday. I mean, some people said, Valencia didn't catch it or whatever.
No,
you don't give the pass to the middle right there on the entrance of the box. I mean, it's just impossible to see mistake after mistake after mistake, and hearing or listening to Josh Wolff saying, no, everything is good.
And mind you, he is a second captain, which reminds me of a player that Scott would be able to tell us. We have a Maguire, right?
Oh, and Julio?
Yeah, I mean, could be with the amount of mistakes at this point. I mean, last season he being in the starting 11 no matter what, too.
I mean, I don't want to slander anybody by comparing them to Maguire. I think it's unfair. But I think it goes back to a basic question of tactics and strategy of trying to force this team to play out of the back and to play a system and style that we have watched over seasons. At times works, and sometimes it looks really great. Somebody in Los Verdes Slack talked about how there's this really great example of how the system's supposed to work in the match, and it's kind of like, it's been 3 seasons,
yeah,
and
it's
they did it.
We should have more examples.
And they did it for 2 minutes. Like, great job. Like, is this what we're beholden to at this point?
And it's so stringent. It's so because whenever Valencia is playing and he's at the 6 or the 5 or whatever you want to call it in that formation, he's really good at when he does get the ball, he finds someone, he just gets rid of it, flows it out to the wing. And that's how the system's supposed to work. But when you're doing that in any situation, no matter how much teams are pressing, and it's already just like an open secret at this point, if you want the best chance to beat Austin FC, no matter what your roster looks like, just press really hard because they have to play this way.
Yeah, and our players are just not really that great under pressure, to be honest. I mean, our backline is extremely fragile.
Well, and what didn't make sense to me was that if you're, and I don't know if we're going to talk about the game lineups, but the way that Austin becomes a press-resistant team is by playing Danny back there, because Danny's the only player who's able to get past the line of defense.
Right, because he can break lines pretty easily.
And
yeah.
so when you see a team pressing you and doing well, and he's not in the game, that should at some point click to you before the 80th minute that he should be out there.
Exactly.
Well, but that's another thing. When you see people were asking, hey, we want to see Ring, Valencia, and Danny playing together. We want to see that. We're going to see that. But Wolffito's there. We want to see that. Okay, we're going to have Valencia, Ring, and Danny play together. But Wolffito's going for Lima. That's something.
Another new position for him.
I mean, that's really. I mean, if you see your sporting director kind of agreeing of kind of seeing this kind of stuff, we're going to have a very bad 2024.
So I want to think that he's just letting it slide now.
Finish?
I think he. I don't, because he's not going to go out there and criticize Wolff.
Here's the thing. I legitimately think that trading that guy right there was telling the entire team, we're not caring about this season. This season is not going to reflect on anything.
But also, you can't just throw it away. Because, yes, Fago was instrumental to the team, and he was instrumental last season. But it's also true that he wasn't putting up the numbers that he was. So,
that's true.
So it's you can put it in both ways. He didn't make
any difference in Los Angeles. He didn't make any difference in Galaxy.
He didn't make the biggest difference. And he might very well do it next year when he has a full preseason. He's more adapted to the city. But same can be said for our team after a preseason, right? However, I don't think that it was the right move, because why do it in the middle of the season? Like, just to show power?
Well, also because to look at it, like the teams who did the most to revamp their rosters in midseason were Miami and Galaxy, and neither of them made the playoffs either.
Nope.
And so this isn't a league where you can just rebuild your team in the summer when 2/3 of the season's already been played, and then expect to have some kind of big change happen.
Yeah, what LAFC did last year was not normal, where they had so many new players come in, and I do think that a lot credit does go to Toronto and the coaching staff.
Yeah,
but that's the pattern that Austin is going for, because even if we're looking at our TAM, GAM, and all of that into the winter, we're not looking at replacing all the players that are leaving. We're looking at probably getting 2, 3, maybe 4 if we're looking at really free agents, because we're about to lose 5, 7 amongst those lines,
something like that
at least,
and we're only bringing in 2, 3, or if we're lucky.
So I think that quote was about bringing in players outside of the league, but we also don't have a bunch of cap room to bring in players in the league.
Yeah,
that entire press
weird.
Conference, I watched it again this week, and I just am more baffled of what the plan is after watching it.
The thing about the Borrell press conference that I get, and then the part that bothered me, the part that I get is the roster, the constraints of the MLS roster system and how poorly built this roster is in an MLS context. We don't have TAM. The Diego trade was essentially made to bring in Matt Hedges. In reality, we spent the same GAM hit on him, and then a little bit, and almost all of the TAM that was used for Diego's contract. And then at the same time, that's the part I like. The part, again, where he's just saying Wolff is a great young coach, we back him 100% after the record. That to me, and then he brings up his resume, which I get. It's a great resume. Liverpool, Manchester City, La Masia. But I don't care. I only care about what he does for Austin FC. And I think maybe he thinks I don't know, he's flaunting that, but I'm I want to see what he does for us. I don't care about any of that. I'm not I don't have a kit from any of those teams or anything. I respect it a lot. So, if he's going to hitch his wagon to Wolff, we're going to hitch his results to Wolff as well. So I think hopefully if he's very resume conscious and things don't go well in 2024, then he'll make the change.
But let me mention something. When you ask Wolff about anybody on the field, on the team, you can even, I even asked him for Amro Tarek. It's a good one. He's working hard. He never played.
They're all good, Jorge.
They're good. So
they're all good.
Yeah,
so that's the thing.
Amro Tarek never played a game for Austin FC in the United States.
He played.
Never.
He played. No. Yeah, no. He played. You're right.
He only played in Violet.
He played 3 minutes with the Columbus crew.
Oh, that's right.
3 minutes.
Oh, did he?
In one season, 3 minutes. Okay, and after he played 3 minutes in the whole season for Columbus with Wolff in the bench. Okay, after that he brought it here to play nothing. So, and then Washington Corozo. I mean, on the last media conference on the midweek, I asked him again. I'm not going to ask him about San Jose. Who cares about San Jose? I mean, we don't even know if we're going to watch the highlights. If you guys want it. Well, I want to see Cascante mistake again. I love it. I love that kind of mistakes. But I asked him, you know what? Who was because when we had the conference with Rodolfo Borrell, he mentioned, it's very hard to squeeze players or to squeeze with what we have. So we have contracts that we're not going to be able to get rid of them.
No.
We have one more year at least with nothing to expend.
No, and I mean, if you look at Julio would be okay if he was making 400, maybe even less, right? But they doubled or tripled his salary, right?
Double, almost more than double.
The Hedges numbers.
No, more than double.
The Hedges numbers, nobody can explain to you because it doesn't make no sense for a 34-year-old center back. I mean, yes, he has experience in the league, but what did he come to do here either way?
But on the media conference, you can go and watch it on the media resources. He said, well, he blamed, I don't know if you noticed that, he blamed Reina.
Yeah.
And he blamed Rubio, and he said, well, come on.
He actually said that in a salary cap league, you have to be very smart, and that's something that we were lacking. Like, he said that out loud in the press conference, and nobody picked up on it. And I don't know how.
I didn't say that, okay? I didn't say that.
But when you look at the roster construction, like, it doesn't make sense for how Wolf wants to play, like, in the formation. And you look at the players that are brought in, you look at, Valencia does a lot of great defensive work, and he's a quick passer, but ultimately that's not what that position is asking of him. Like, that is a position that is more ball conscious than Valencia is like his best skill set. And, you see that all over the roster of just players who just don't seem to fit what we're trying to do.
And that's probably what frustrates me the most about Wolf, because you're not at a club right now, which, mind you, is a 3-year-old club. It's been playing for only 3 years. A system is not going to be built in 3 years, but you don't have a base for that. So why are you not playing to your rival? Why are you not adapting to what your rival has? Because you have players for that.
But don't you think it's like a very cheap excuse?
It's extremely cheap
to say we're just 3 years old.
Oh yeah, especially watching
yes and
St.
no,
Louis.
because you're not getting
watching Louis, watching
Nashville,
LAFC, what they
but
did.
you don't have the investment that those teams had. You were not born
right
like
now.
that.
Right now, we're the number 5.
Now, but at the beginning of it, you weren't.
Okay,
and even then, a lot of that is missed.
Okay, but season 3.
Yes,
we were the number 5. We were watching the other day the stats, the salaries, and San Luis doesn't have a player with more than $1.5 million.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, all that investment that LAFC, they have big investment, but it's been smart investment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've had and brought in players of high caliber and under these deals. But Austin has done quite the opposite. They've brought players that, once they're not very known, and on higher salaries than they would ever get anywhere else.
Oh.
I mean, we can even use Juicy as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Juicy's an excellent player, amazing player, but nowhere in the world is he going to get the $6 million that he's getting paid here. Nowhere. But he's worth that to Austin FC maybe, but he's not worth it anywhere else in the league. And that's where a department that's negotiating these contracts is lacking.
That's like the very U.S. concept of a franchise player, like you get in other sports, where like here's our one guy, like he's the face of our team. So he gets an extra bonus because of that. Whereas maybe in Europe you don't have the one guy unless he's like Messi or Ronaldo.
Do you think Driussi, and this is an honest question, do you think Driussi is going to sell jerseys in LA? Do you think Driussi is going to sell jerseys in Costa Rica or in Mexico?
Here.
Here,
I think he would in most places. I think Austin is one of those cities where people really embrace the team.
But you can say you can mention players from other teams that they will sell like jerseys.
But those players are mostly already known, and that's the thing. Of course, if you bring Chicharito here to Austin, even if he's halfway retired, he's gonna sell a lot of jerseys.
See, I was even thinking some of like the U.S. men's national team guys, like guys like Walker Zimmerman, or guys who are who are still DP level guys in MLS, but aren't.
Yeah.
But you know, don't necessarily consider like superstars.
Yeah, because it's also very much the localness of it, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, the U.S. men's national market, it's obviously it's prevalent here, but you can have all those, like, you can bring almost any of the Mexican players, and they will sell you the amount of jerseys. That jersey will not sell you anywhere else, and I think that's what Jorge's point is, and it's fair to assume.
And then I'm going to ask you something. We had a Julio Cascante for 300,000 last year. Okay, who do you think you're going to sell Cascante right now? If you say, you know what, I'm going to sell it because this team and this team and this team, they want it for 700,000.
You know what? If Josh Wolf leaves, his next team might buy him for that contract.
Is this like the Sean Rubio trading for Matt Hedges and then going to the team that got on?
Yes, that's right.
He's going to reunite with Claudio Reyna in San Diego. And
Yeah, there you go.
they're going to regrow the legend out there, over there.
See, and that's another thing I've heard. Rebuild the legend.
Yeah.
But the legend was never built. We haven't built really anything.
We had 3 really good months, and in those 3 really good months, we also lost to a USL team, and we fortunately advanced in the playoffs, and that rode us through a lot of the season. And then you can even see like earlier in the season, especially for the midweek games, because the midweek games are always just like very poorly attended anyway because of families and et cetera.
But still sell out.
But still sellouts. And so you could even see like the dwindling number of just like fan involvement and fan energy once like summer hit. And and I think that's when the fan base really realized that like this is not going to be
Not the same season.
Yeah.
And like that season too, the summer 2022, the only time Austin FC has ever been consistently good on the road. Every other time throughout our history, the away record is just abysmal, and it's almost shockingly bad. The last 4 away matches I've attended were all 2-0 or 3-0 losses.
That's
great.
That was the pattern of the last 12 matches, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't get what we got. Okay, let's see the game, Georgina, por favor. Let's see the game. And I don't know, guys. I don't really see this like. I mean,
it's a nice stadium, by the way.
It's a nice stadium. It's and San Jose played very bad.
Oh yeah.
San Jose played really bad. So
their worst is still a draw against us, apparently. Like,
¿Claudio está bien?
The thing to me is, we're talking about Josh Wolf and Burrell and all that. How does one escape 80+ days without a win?
There's
to me,
no serious
to
club,
me,
like,
how
in a serious league?
You're not in a relegation battle, and I don't know if that's it. I don't know if we're really not playing for anything at all.
Also, I'd like to briefly, just because it was on the screen, I would like to shit talk that we had to watch highlights from other games during the game. Because if we wanted to do that, we would have watched your 360 show.
Yeah.
Like, which is, I wanted to watch Austin and San Jose. I didn't want to have highlights break in. In case in point, like it cut off the play leading up to the goal that it was like our game was minimized.
There you go.
Showing highlights of
It's
other
a poor pass.
Yeah, that's just emblematic of like having to stick to playing
can
this
see
way, no matter where the blue guys are positioned.
Yes.
And like that's literally, he passed it to him as if he was all alone, and he wasn't. And we've seen this so many times.
It's also just that like one of the things I noticed when watching like Austin FC versus other teams that kind of play like similar systems is that we never kick the ball that far forward.
Never.
From the center back position. And some of that is like availability, but some of that is also just that like that's just not the way that it's coached.
Yeah, we rarely see long
Okay.
balls.
I know that. I know this goal. I got a bunch of tweets saying, hey, Wolffito, come on, guys. This is
that one was
this
for
is
you.
the second goal he scored, right?
I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I think
This is the second goal he scored in how many minutes he has?
Hey, but they were both amazing goals.
No, they're nice. I mean, that's fine. And if I'm there, I'm going to score sometime. And if you put me there, really, if you put me in the field 30 games, of course I'm going to score 2.
It's almost as good as like because it reminded me of like the Rodney Redes goal against New Mexico.
Oh yeah.
Because it's the same kind of like not quite in your post run, but forward and flicking into the back post. It's a great finish, but it's also that like that's what we're relying on to score goals because we don't create other chances besides that.
We're kind of relying on a hero of the week every time.
Exactly. That's what I say. Right now they say, but one of the shames on this is, and I go back to the mid conference, to the midweek conference. They said, no, we're gonna go and win. This is the dignity. We're gonna go and this is not a joke or whatever. What happened?
That's a joke.
What? That's a joke. I mean,
That's
trying to save the 1-1 from minute 60.
Yeah. So I will say this, though. I thought that bringing on Hedges and going to the 3-man back line with the wingbacks was a smart decision because Espinoza was doing really well against Gallagher on that side. The problem is that when you take Gallagher off, you don't have any wingbacks who can attack in that system, and so it just draws everybody further back. I mean, you can see Gallagher just kind of get, and this was something that happened a few times of him just getting beat by Espinoza, and they had to do something to
another match also of Stuver standing on his head, and the best we can get out of a great performance is a point because of the struggle to score goals on the road.
Yeah, Stuver's definitely, at least league wide, he's very, very underrated.
Yeah, he's top 6 or 7 keeper in the league.
He's consistently, if you look at a lot of the advanced XG stats, he's consistently in the top 5 or 6 in the league. Every year he's been a starter. And also, keep in mind, I think he played every minute this year.
Yeah,
he did.
He did play every
even
minute.
including all the cup competitions and all of that.
Bersano really was just there to look good and smile.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what? He gave interviews all the time. I mean, he never hide under like other players. When a loss or whatever, he was always there to talk.
Yeah, and he's always willing to take accountability when it's something he feels something's on him. And a couple of times he's taken it where I didn't feel like it was on him,
Man,
but I just think he's just that kind of guy.
I mean, that's another just great reaction save of
Yeah.
that's not a save that a lot of keepers make.
And sometimes we do just need to boot the ball out of the box like that, and we just don't do it. One thing, I have to admit that I've always been more of a fan of Julio Cascante than a lot of people. I think he does a lot of good things that are smaller, but it's the big mistakes always outrun that. But even him and some of these guys, we don't quite have that physicality in the box sometimes just to bring the ball down and boot it away when we need to.
Yeah, well, I mean, when it comes to Julio, it's again kind of back to the franchise tag type of thing, right? Yeah. How many of those players can you have? And the truth is that Driussi is supposed to be the face of this team, and then it was Fagu. Fagu's gone, so who's next, right? Our second captain's Cascante, but is he really the face of the team? Is he what the fans identify with?
He doesn't even want to talk to the media. He didn't talk to the media at all.
No, but they're pushing it. That's what I'm saying. I think the team is pushing that.
I think
image.
They push Gallagher and Stuver more than anybody else because I feel as if they're the ones who pop up in my email doing appearances more than anybody else.
Yeah, perhaps. But I mean, I do see them trying to push Cascante a little bit more towards that because, especially with that contract, honestly, because nothing.
But that has to be a Josh Wolff order. That has to be you see every time.
Maybe
wasn't he sporting director at the time when that got signed? I mean,
if
I'm not wrong,
I asked Wolff.
They said that was done back in December. They
No.
agreed back on December.
He can say that, but I have a question that I asked him on February 2026 because this is what happened. They announced the contract renewal of Diego Fagundes. And then, a week later, they announced Diego Cascantes. That was on February. And I asked him, who did this? And the question was, if Claudio Reyna is not here, who did that? He said, well, me, Rubio, Ricord. He said it like that.
That gets at a fundamental conceit of the defenses of Josh Wolff is that, the roster build, as if he had zero to do with it. The last 2 windows, Claudio Reyna wasn't in the picture at all. And it was pretty clear that these signings, Driussi's extension, Fagundes' extension, Cascante's extension, all coming out, bam, 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 when it was clear that before, under the Reyna, program, they were being a lot more cautious about, the extension talks and money and stuff. Not to say that Claudio Reyna was a good sporting director. It turns out he probably wasn't. But I just think you can't fully absolve, the current Josh Wolff.
Okay, and now let me ask you guys this. They announced just about a week and a half ago, when we got eliminated from the season, they announced like right away, like the same way they did it with Diego. We got out of the Interliga, and the next day it was Diego is out. We got off the MLS Cup, and the next day was Cuenca and Rubio out. All right, and I asked them again. And you can look for that questions on the media conferences. Who chose the champion team? Austin FC2. Who chose them? It was Cuenca and it was Rubio. So, I mean.
And the guys they brought in just on the loans, like David Rodriguez and like Ramirez from Atlas, like they're two of our most important players. And we bring in first team players on loan, and they just get sent to the shadow realm, and we never hear from them. It's getting interesting, like the quality of like scouting versus
like signing Micah Burton, knowing you're going to get fined for it, and being like, no, the fine's worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, perfecto. So on this case, what would we expect? What we can expect with because it seems like there's a friendship on top of anything in the team.
I think
right?
from the beginning.
On the top. Mm-hmm. So what as a fans, what the people can expect of the 2024? We're going to have nothing. Just
don't expect anything.
I hope they're not considering Copa Texas as a tournament.
I know someone that might.
I mean,
saludos.
I think personally, I foresee a pretty rough start, and then we're gonna see, because the decision Austin FC makes with Josh Wolff, if we have a bad start, is the decision as is this a football club or a t-shirt company and a development vector for the area around the stadium. Like, it really is going to say something if we are in the bottom 5 of the league. Because I don't think we're going to do a lot this winter, because Burrell's basically said that, because he needs to save that stuff for the summer when the European season ends and all of his contacts, that's where he most benefits us. So, I foresee a rough start. I foresee a decision made on Wolff either way, and then I'd see a huge summer, splash. And hopefully whatever happens with all of that means a better second.
But see, I think that's actually the interesting thing about his extension, was that they decided 12 games or 11 games, however many games it was, into the 2022 season. Oh no, he's our guy. We signed him for 3 more years. And then you look at this season, you look at the start, and you're like, okay, well, when are we making a decision about this? Because he's clearly not the guy.
Right.
And so going into next season, like, how many games is he going to get before, if Austin's doing badly, of us just sitting there and being like, we're really going to wait this one out, guys? Like, kind of a thing. I mean, to me, like, I think there's very obvious ways to help this roster, because there is but I think we're going to have to go through, people keep talking about, like, let Roto cook. Like, we are not even to breaking the eggs yet. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of egg breaking in terms of, like, guys like Maxi Urruti or Zardes, or some of the higher paid veterans who are past their prime. We have to be honest, just Father Time's undefeated, who have contracts that are going to have to be gone for us to be able to have any maneuverability, and that might get really ugly, and it might involve, Rigoni starting as striker, because he's the only option we have, which I'm okay with.
I mean, if that's what it's going to come to, then it's what it's going to come to. But at the end of the day, also, how many players can you really get rid of realistically that are not out of contract?
Especially when you're dealing with depth, and we still don't have the one thing we still don't have is the academy.
You don't have quality. You don't have a good coach.
The academy
have anything.
The academy is not aged yet. Yeah. I think next year is when we'll start to see it more.
And even then, a lot of those players are over 20.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like David Rodriguez, I believe he's 23.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are talking like very nice of the Austin FC2 and whatever, but we're not inside Josh Wolff's head, and we're not at this. I mean, the reason. What will be the reason of not using Kip Keller, despite the mistake? Why he didn't use CJ, which it was like really good player on FC2.
He was Fagundes' replacement, if you ask.
He didn't try
in his
David.
minutes, he did everything. He tried his hardest. He did his best. That Alex Rings tying goal in where was that? The Red Bulls. You know, Fodry was part of the buildup, and like, you know, he just finally gotten to go on the field. And also, you know, Brandon Craig, bringing him on loan just for him. Like I mentioned with Fodry being brought up to the first team and Brandon Craig being brought in, literally just to bear witness to failure. Just, hey, come watch this garbage fire. Don't you know? We're not gonna help. We're not gonna let you help put it out. Just watch it burn.
And that should just speak to really, if I'm a player coming out, why do I want to play for this coach? Why? If the players inside don't want to play,
especially as a mid-season replacement.
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
Why do I want to come in the summer?
Who wants to accept a loan offer here when we might need a player like them?
Not only that, why am I gonna come here as a center back and I know I'm at a good level, knowing that I'm gonna be playing next to Julio and Julio's never gonna be benched? Why?
Never.
Why? I know his next contract is gonna be making more than me already. So why? There is no base to this team. The fundamentals are gone. And that you can talk about a system, you can talk about the system from the academy, whatever it is. The truth is that there's no system, there's no base, and there's nothing really to get excited about today.
There's an idea of how to play that has yet to be tangibly proven to work beyond like players clicking like in 2022 when they were all getting along and everything clicked. But like a lot of the defenses of Wolf too, they'll point out, okay, 2022, he coached us to the Western Conference Finals, but everything else that happened he has nothing to do with. And the thing about that is they'll also mention the MLS player survey that came out after the season that, you know, players come to Austin, they say we have a great atmosphere, we were winning, we were on top of the world for a minute, and they're like, yeah, I want to play there. And of course he's the coach, so he's the coach. That's the coach I'm going to say I want to play for. That's a very confident thing to use in his defense when there's no way he's in the top 10 of that list this year. Like, there's no way players are going to say, like, yeah, Josh Wolf's the coach I want to play for after seeing everything that's gone on.
¿Puedes poner las tablas? I want to see, just to make an exercise, what number of we are on, no, las tablas.
Austin's not involved in that.
¿Ah?
By the way, this...
Ok, pon una de las tablas que están ahí, la roja. Las dos tablas, olvídalo. Never mind. We don't have she doesn't have that. So we need to do an exercise to see from the, what is it, like 32, 28 teams, right? How many?
29.
29.
Now, yeah.
29, right.
Let's see in what position we were. So
Last year.
No, this year.
This year.
So
I thought we were maybe 25th, 24th out of 29.
I think 25th sounds right because there's a few teams in the East that were very bad. I mean, Toronto only won like 4 games all season.
the 25th of 28, and these guys say, "Oh man, I can't believe it. I can't
I'm gonna
believe
look it up right now.
Yeah, everybody's on the phone.
25,
Like,
25th. Between the LA Galaxy and Chicago.
25th. So we're the 25th. We get the last one on the on the Champions League. We were the last ones. I mean, nobody lost that bad, or nobody got.
We were the worst team in CCL and most likely the worst team in Leagues Cup.
On Leagues Cup. Yeah.
There's no
definitely.
MLS team like that.
No.
Definitely.
As bad. And then again, our only tournament win ever in a single competition is New Mexico United at home, 2-0.
Georgina.
Which is expected.
I don't think they even made the playoffs in USL.
Anyways.
Yeah, they were kind of an aging USL team. I mean, but that did bring us the best moment of the season, which was Roddy Redis scoring.
Georgina.
Yeah. He's the only player.
He's that.
Yeah.
Or Owen Wolf's golazos, right?
I have a scorching hot take about Owen Wolff, which is that him scoring against RSL really hurt his development because everybody expected too much of him and expected too much of him playing centrally when he would be better served playing on the wing or playing on the edge where the game's just a lot simpler for him. Like, I think I would have liked to have seen him play and start at right wing more than in the center of the park.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's what he was doing last season.
Yeah, and that's when he was really successful last season.
Yeah, that was, I mean, I remember even last season, the game against Houston, the one that Danny scored in. He had a great game there.
Yeah.
And then against LAFC, when we won 2-1 with Falgo's goal.
Oh, yeah.
So
that
what's
was his first start.
Let's say, what is the game you guys you guys can, in Spanish we can say we rescue. What is the best game we had on the season for you? It's hard, right?
So
it's not easy to.
I think the best game was beating New Mexico United because that was the most fun.
Right.
But I think the best week was the wins over Dallas and Houston, even though those teams weren't undermanned.
Yeah.
So I kind of
like the season was turning the corner, and we went into the Leagues Cup break, like on fire almost, as good as we'd been all season, and then it wasn't obviously meant to last.
So what do you think is the worst of the season? I mean, besides being on 12th.
You mean besides the whole season?
Besides the whole tournaments.
Either St. Louis game, the LAFC
Both
game.
St. Louis games.
Yeah, both St. Louis games. The
LAFC
LAFC match
games.
here.
Oh.
I was just doing this because I was doing year-end awards for We Are Austin TV, and I can't think of all the other terrible games. I thought losing to the Fire was bad because the Fire aren't good.
Just think about it. We scored 5 times against San Luis. Yeah. But they scored 9.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of how the game works, right?
Yeah, well, we're still an expansion team, and they are.
Well,
have
have
we
we hit the ground? I mean,
Here's the thing, they are outperforming the underlying numbers by such a large degree. I can't wait for all of the MLS pundits to ignore that again,
Oh, yeah.
and then crash back to earth next year, and then be like, "Oh, I can't believe this happened," just like it happened to us this year.
yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Absolutely. But again, that's just gonna hurt them. It's just gonna hurt that team. The expectations are gonna be through the roof, like they were for us. And then the thing is, I do think St. Louis has a base, and something that it's not gonna hit them as hard, because they seem to have at least a level-headed coach that will get these results, under control. Whereas we're stuck on the same thing for 3 years in a row. There's no learning. There's no improvement. There's just overachieving.
And I think it's going down. I mean, what you saw in 2022, and then you see 2023, which was bad. But the reality, it looks like we're gonna be worse than 2023.
Yeah, I think so, because there's no real room for improvement, at least not right away.
Because it's like the parent having his kid, because nobody can touch Cascante, because the ring is not on his position, but they're gonna put him there, because the substitutions, there is nobody who tells Wolf, hey Wolf, you're gonna take the midfield and you're gonna put Bruin. You're gonna take. I mean, it has to be somebody.
So here's
somebody saying, hey Wolf, come on, just.
It's
relax.
not just Wolf though. Now you have to ask Precourt. Why is
But
he allowed?
Precourt is not on the field.
But
No,
this is the hope. The hope is that Josh Wolf having somebody in the front office who outranks him and who has more experience than him and can hopefully mentor him a little bit, can make him a better coach and make him understand better. Because coaches can get better.
But if
that is we're really hoping in best read here.
But if the guy who can give all the advice he will need is saying on the media conferences, he's good.
Great
he's good.
coach.
He's good. He's great.
But I think that's why Burrell has to be so invested, though, is because Burrell has, through all of his comments, said, "Oh no, he's a good coach. Trust me." That's literally his argument for keeping Wolf. You shouldn't challenge my view of him being a good coach.
Do you think Burrell agreed to have Wolffito playing on the wing, on the back?
When he played at left back.
That's my thing.
Do you think
On a technicality, he did.
I mean,
that's my thing.
he took it.
He approves it. He claps for it.
I mean, when somebody, I wouldn't be surprised if he. Here's the thing, I wouldn't be surprised either way, because I don't know if he's going to micromanage the team that much.
I don't think so
in this season. But at the same token, I'm not sure who else he would have played at left back.
But
you said he's a big picture. It seems like he's a big picture guy in that sense, where he's he's new, so he's more. I'm sure he just did a lot of observing this year and seeing what's going on. But in the long term, if he is going to be hands off with the way the team is managed, and he's going to approve it, put his seal of approval on the coach again, that's just tying his own reputation to it.
Yeah.
So at some point he would have to step in if things are going bad, you would think.
Yeah, but my point to that is, how much worse do you want it to get? You had a horrible first season, which if you want to discard it. But what happened this year was, even if you were not going to be in the top 3, right, which I don't think anybody realistically thought, I was aiming for 5 or 6. But you can't go from 5 or 6, all the way down to where we are now.
Yeah,
It's a huge gap.
See, but I also think that in MLS there's more chances to do that because the margins are so thin.
Yeah, but
I think the bigger issue is that, like, you talk about, like, how bad does it need to get? Like, I mean, I watched us lose 3-0 to a Haitian team that hadn't played in a year using, like, a free browser thing because I didn't have the network.
Well,
you're asking sickos here. Like,
we did get 2 goals back though when they could bring half their team to the U.S. because of visa issues and got some ringers to play with them, and yeah. That he should have been. There's no. How many clubs would keep a coach after that? Like,
there is
No.
him surviving that in Leagues Cup went to show that, like,
He's
it's going to, I think it's going to take a off the field incident to get him fired
I don't
before
think-
the end of next
he's
year.
not
I don't
better than
think
that
he's
team.
ever leaving.
Wait.
And I don't think he's
Unless-
interesting enough of a person to do that.
I don't. The only way he leaves is if he wants to leave.
Yeah.
That's the only way. I don't. I don't.
I
see it.
asked, sorry, I asked somebody, and this was a real question. I said, do you think, somebody who's inside, do you think Josh Wolff has kind of a partnership with the team, like some money invested or something? It may be some kind of connection besides the coaching. So we don't know what. We don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say this or that. But Georgina, I'm here. But sorry, but.
But
today-
I think that's one of the interesting things to compare to going back to the FC2 team is that how much those players love Brett Utley and play together and play really as a team. And you can see the kind of culture he's fostered there. And that's the kind of culture that we want on the first team. And it's a very weird thing to see, like, the first team have all these struggles in the locker room and all this animosity, and you can see it. Like, you can see it in even, like, the practice videos that Austin FC releases of, like, oh, it's always the same players always in the same groups together. Like, kind of a thing. You can see stuff like that.
Which you saw in season 1.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, you see those things, and then you see how FC2 plays and what Edley has done with that crew of bringing them together. And you're like, well, that's what we need. Like, we need somebody like that.
Exactly. But what do you think? Let's say you are Alex Ring, right? And I come here as the media guy. Hey, Alex, I'm gonna take you. You talk and you say whatever you want to say. Alex Ring is gonna say fuck off. Fuck off. Don't talk to me.
So apparently Alex Ring's coming back next year. Because
hopefully.
Because Austin FC players have told fans he's coming back.
I would love for him to come back.
And I think he is. I actually think he is the linchpin of the team that is really kind of even despite his age is the person who the team really should be built around. Because he's ultimately the guy who can. He's the only one. Leader. He's the only one. He's the best leader. He's the only one who links defense and attack effectively out of the midfield. And not having him on the field or putting him back at center back where he was doing his best professional job possible, and really goes to show the character that he has. But he needs to be in the midfield. Like, that's where he needs to be for this team to be successful.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a noise. The clock. Okay, so let me ask you a quick
I
question.
thought I was talking too long and you were scolding me.
no, sorry. So it's because you see, look, there you go. So there's the last question I'm going to ask you guys today. Because I asked Drusy last week and I said, how leader you were with the team, or you were with the team. Now the question is this: how leader do you think? We're going to start over there. How leader do you think Drusy was with the team?
Yeah, so this is a complicated one because a lot of this involves stuff that we didn't see firsthand. The beginning of the season, the bad vibes season, if you want to call it that, was started when Ring lost the armband and then was benched for Owen Wolff. And those two things, prior to the mistake, already had me feeling really weird about the season. So Drusy, I don't know the reason for him getting the armband besides him being the best player. The story was he had approached Wolff. I don't know if that's true. Like this, front office and the coach don't always seem to be forthright about things. That's a very polite way of saying it. And so I think like it sort of fell on him in a way where it was maybe too much to deal with being the on the field leader in terms of play and the talisman type player, and then being like the leader. Because last season, 2012, 2022, excuse me, it's been a long decade. Felipe Martins, Alex Ring, Ruben Gabrielson, those were the three guys who brought all those different player cliques together.
I put Urruti on that one.
And Rudy too, yeah. And I think his play wasn't up to standard this year, but I think from the start of the season, the rift that happened, and then also losing Gabrielson and Martins,
Didn't help.
really didn't help. And so it felt like he was cast adrift. Also, the Zardes signing, I mean, he really had to play for his job at that point. And just everything just started off badly. And again, how is that not on the management? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he was the leader. I mean, obviously we talked about Ring. Ring is the one that's pushing. And you can see it even from other players. Gallagher does it a lot. Stewart does it a lot. All those players are more. They push the team a lot more than Drusy does. And that's not to shame Drusy, because Drusy's a fantastic player, but he's fantastic at his craft and making the others around him better with his feet, not necessarily leading them that way.
I'm going to put a pause right there, and then I go with you. A guy who can't tell the coach, you know what, coach, I like better to play on, behind as a number 10, because I ask him, you're better when you're behind the number 9, when you're as a number 10. And he said, yeah, that's the way I love it. I mean, that's the way I like it. And he told me 2-3 times during the year, he wasn't playing there. If a leader can't tell the coach, you know what, put Rigoni right here, you know what, I recommend you to do this over here, you know what, I recommend you to I mean, he goes, and then you ask him, why you play as a 9? He said, well, that's the way they want it.
No, I think from a very basic philosophy, your main attacking threat who you play through shouldn't be your captain. I don't think that's a responsibility that should be borne. I think just dividing those roles from a roster perspective makes more sense. I think Driussi got not only played out of position, I thought he got played deep far too often. He wasn't allowed to get forward in the attacking positions he should be in. He was too included in the build-up. He needs to have the kind of free role that allows him to be him and play off of other players. And this is going back to Wolf having bad mentors. This is the same problem Berhalter has with the national team, is that he doesn't know where to put the best players into the best positions, because that's what Christian Pulisic should be doing, or Weston McKennie, or any of those guys who have the freedom to do that. And you just see the same mistakes over and over again, to where I just hope that having somebody who actually knows what they're doing talk to Wolf about coaching will be helpful.
Yeah,
because that's the thing, is Berhalter definitely doesn't have that at the U.S. Soccer Federation.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like if you look at like how Berhalter behaves in press conferences and how Wolf does, like they're basically the same. Yeah, like it's just something you notice, and so I would hope that. I mean, I would love to see Ring be captain again. I think he's the best captain on the team. But I think going back to Jordan's point about, having Felipe, having Ruben, having all these, having so much extra leadership in the locker room really does matter. We're missing that big time, and we're missing that because our veterans aren't that kind of leadership.
Cascantes definitely is.
Okay, and then one more question, because you guys have a Real Madrid and Manchester United. That's the confidence they had over Amada. That's the confidence they had on the Verdes. Only Jordan has the.
Well, season's over.
But anyway, season's
we
over.
have nothing to play for.
Okay, so
we're pleased with the point.
In any part of the world, you guys have seen a captain with translators?
No.
I'd have to think about it.
I don't think so.
Well, we have a captain that needs a translator, translation on whatever.
Oh, between him and the coach, you mean?
Huh?
Between Driussi and
no, I'm talking about live.
Oh, okay.
But live. I mean, he talks to someone. He needs. Right now, so far, he needs a translator to talk to the English media. I mean, you see, at the beginning, Urruti was using a translator, but then he just start talking in English to people, right?
I sometimes wonder, it's said of Seba that he has like intense stage fright, and usually people who do that also aren't comfortable behind a microphone, and sometimes players are just really good at a sport and really bad at media. Public speaking.
So then why he's a captain?
Exactly. That's the issue, I think, ultimately.
We go back to the franchise player thing. He's the face of the team, and they want to force that full thing on him. which it should never be the way, because at that point you're kind of giving the image of running it strictly as a business, as a cash cow, rather than, if Jersey's not comfortable with this, that's going to somehow impact him in some type of way, mentally, and that's somehow going to affect his game. So why are you pushing that onto him if that's not his thing? He doesn't do interviews. He hardly does any interview.
Yeah.
Much less, why are you pushing that on him?
And then when the social media calls, like they put them Familia on the social media, and they have 3 guys there.
Yeah.
Like Familia, and they have Urruti, this guy with a rapper or reggaetonero or someone. I mean, it's like, man, really, the Familia is just 3 guys.
Yeah.
What is the rest of the people?
No, and that,
I mean, like the way you see it
Divided in the locker room.
Narrative versus reality is a big issue with
FCTV. And that's exactly what it is. Is why I see it as just a business right now. It's just a cash cow for fans to buy shirts.
Do you think Dr. Baker is going to leave in 3 years, because he was 5? If I'm not mistaken, he was 5 years on Columbus.
I don't know, but if he doesn't do something soon, if he doesn't show that he wants to do something soon, he's gonna see if he's happy with the numbers that Houston, Dallas has. And honestly, if he continues this way, it's probably gonna be even worse than that, because Houston might even see a rise for next year. They've got a trophy.
I mean, they were last in attendance this year, though.
They were.
They have nowhere to go.
And it's gonna take a long time, or even more of those performances for that to grow.
And trying to break into a 4-sport market, a multi-sport market, versus the name recognition Austin FC automatically gets for being our first, sports team.
And that's soon not gonna matter, because it's just not gonna. Why is anybody gonna want to go watch a team that doesn't even play for their coach?
That's the thing, is it's also not even like appealing football. It's not even like exciting. There's no passion behind it. It's very technical and just,
And there are a lot of stuff. I think it's a mistake. Let me go right here so they don't move this camera. I think there is a mistake on whoever is organizing the supporting groups. I think it's a mistake trying to divide, saying, no, please, don't talk bad about Wolf. Please don't do that. If you have a Wolf out thing, if you have the Wolf out thing, go to the other side, or you're not allowed here. You cannot scream or do anything against Wolf or against the team. I mean, that's bad, because you're kicking people out. I mean, it's like, okay, you are free to say, I love it, I hate it, I don't like him this season, but I love it next season, or whatever. But with these differences on the stands, it's a divided fan.
So
the same as the team.
I mean, there is definitely divides amongst the fan base, and I think some of that has been, stoked by particular people in Austin FC media of trying to take very strong Wolf instances for attention. I think it's very disingenuous on their part. You talk about the supporters groups. I think the supporters are, especially the people in this section, are very Wolf out. I think it's actually been very surprising to me that there hasn't been more vocal anti-Wolf sentiment, because because the supporters groups, especially the Capos and the Morga, really focuses so much on supporting the team on the field while they're playing, and doesn't want to distract from that atmosphere. That being said, I know for a fact that there was a plan to fly a Wolf out banner on a plane above the stadium for the LA Galaxy game, and it didn't happen. But I think that's something that will likely occur next year.
I think I'm always in section 103, 104, the heart of the supporter section, and I know almost everyone around me kind of feels the same way that we do about it. It's just like you mentioned it. There's people trying to play it up as a controversy, or to be just extraordinarily defensive of Wolf to get clicks or to engagement, and then at the same time, or they may just believe it. And here's the thing: I said this on a We Are Austin TV Twitter space one time. Shout out Hernan and all those guys. I was thinking the people who tend to defend Wolf and Borrell by extension are kind of always bringing up their accomplishments, what they've done before, who they are. They're saying they're kind of demanding respect based off their resume or based off their title, whereas the people who are already fed up with all that are basically type people. It's like, no, show me the results. You have to earn it. I don't care what you did elsewhere. I don't care who you managed under, this or that. You know, it's a difference between like people demanding respect for the title or the boss versus people demanding that respect has to be earned.
Which is bizarre because Wolf has no accomplishments.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the record. Like, it's weird to me to have somebody be like, "Trust me, he's a good coach," and be like, "I watched him manage 111 games." Like, you can't just discount that I've spent way too much of my life evaluating this man's coaching
I've
performance
been to like
and
20
thinking that I
away
don't.
matches,
Yeah,
watching him manage.
Yeah, exactly. And so like, it's just kind of one of those things of like, yeah, I understand you want me to trust you, but at the same time, like, you can't tell me to deny what I think and what I've seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
So you were Wolf out?
Oh, I've been Wolf out since like season 1.
He should have never been in Austin to begin with.
I didn't like the hire, and I was Wolf out from the Frisco disaster where he, benched everybody and decided our first game against an eventual rival didn't matter, even though 1,000 people traveled. I obviously scaled back 2022 because I was like, okay, maybe this is actually going to go well, and then it didn't take very long for us to see, no, like the problem is there, and he is a problem, a significant problem.
No, I have been Wolf in because I really like the interaction that I had with him, but right now I don't think he promised. Actually, not promise. I request an interview with him, a one-on-one, on February. They said he's busy. We got kicked out of the League's Cup, 30 days, almost 23 days off. He was busy. And then after the breaks, 15 days, one day, 15, he's been busy. Right now, he's not busy. Unless they said he's busy for Christmas or something, or I don't know.
He certainly
Halloween.
cares about his golf scores.
I'm requesting again, and I'm going to request again, and one-on-one with Wolf. And right now, I don't know what's going to happen.
You know what? You should show up at the training ground at 8 in the morning because he gets there at 9 every day, right?
That's what they say.
He was still there in the morning after the LA Galaxy game. Like everybody else who went to the game, who still went to work the next day.
It's incredible that someone went to work in the morning.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
Rodo. Anyways,
to me,
that was full, right?
I think it's just he's trying to it really feels like he wanted to make me feel stupid, to be honest. And I don't know how many people can buy into that. I'm not gonna buy into that, and by no means am I calling anybody stupid, but if they believe it, but I'm not gonna believe it because I've watched this sport for way too long to believe some bullshit like that, just plain and simple like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not gonna act like I have the same accomplishments as Burrell does in any way, shape, or form, but like I understand the sport. I've watched it my whole life. We've watched every match. We can see what's going on. We can tell. We still have opinions about it and opinions that are valid. And this idea that like, trust me, guys, is just like such an
It's dismissive.
No, but you know the worst of the media conference is whatever they say, it gets back to them. Like, no. Wolf was here at 9:00. Yeah, we lost Saturday again. So what he was doing at 9:00 in the morning, if we lost again on Saturday,
he could be there at 3 in the morning. It won't matter.
Great job showing up for your job.
Oh yeah, sure.
Some of the supporters that stuck at that rain delay to watch them bottle the match also had to go to work at 8 or 9 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Like they couldn't call
or
out.
earlier.
No, and Rodo said, I have to sleep at 3:00 in the morning. Man, that's the time when I start working. That's the time when I start doing the, everything that we need to do for Deportes.com.
A lot of this clubs boast fervent supporters in the supporters section, work in construction or jobs that they have to get up and work 50, 60 hours a week to pay for those tickets and to pay their bills. And again, it's just the whole thing just seems like there's a disconnect between what the community and the support is offering the club and saying, hey, we're giving this to you. We appreciate this thing in our city, and what's said back. And it starts with, I think, with the manager, honestly, and with the ownership.
Yeah, it's literally a tree, right? So the roots go into literally everywhere, and I think at some point there's got to be a cutoff, right? You got to start cutting down some of the roots to grow new ones in, and the fan base, whether they like it or not, have a lot of say in this, and this is why personally, I do want to see more demonstrations.
That's what Adrian Healy. I think Adrian Healy, who is clearly Wolf out, based on all of his comments and based on his announcing. He did an interview on Moontown, shout out, a couple months ago, where he basically gave us the blueprint of trying to get rid of Wolf as fans. Like, he was like, no, we need fan pressure. You need to do blah, 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 blah. And I realized, thinking about that afterward, he was like he was sending us a warning. Like, he was trying to send us a message. And unfortunately, it's like we couldn't get organized enough to be able to do that.
No. When they say, no, it was going to be a wave. And there were like 7 or 8 guys with a Wolf out there. So it was not enough. I'm sorry.
This is another
cheeky whiskey.
Yeah, there's the puppy. If this is another, Chris Klein situation.
Oh, okay. He took my mic.
It's another Chris Klein type situation where they're like, no, this is our guy. He's our boy. Like, we're going to keep him. Like, it took a very long time for Galaxy fans to finally push that. And so, again, there's some of us who want to see that sort of like fans organizing more, as because supporters groups around the world and ultras, they're not just there. I mean, they're there to cheer, like, and sing and chant 90 minutes, and that's what they do, like in Italy and in South America and anywhere else. But that doesn't mean they toe that they're supporting the front office or the coach. We're not singing for Josh Wolf. We're not singing for Precourt. And there's this idea that, like, oh, well, like, if you're VHLM, you're Verde hasta la muerte, you need to be, you should support the coach too. And I'm like, no, like, if something in this organization is a problem and we see it's hindering our success, it's hurting the players, it's bad for the fan base in the city, I think we should embrace that mentality more of like, we are a sort of a political presence, because they market when Awesome C is bad, they just shift to marketing how cool we look in the stands. Yeah.
He looks great in that Double Dave's ad, by the way.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Someone photoshopped me surfing on a Double Dave's pizza slice. We're all like there. Like, they use us a lot, and it's fine because like it's part of the deal. But we could, withhold that, and they wouldn't have that anymore. And it just takes guts to do that, and I don't think we're in year 3. We're still building our own supporter culture, and I think it's just going to take time for us to find that voice.
I mean, I think the Murga noise boycott against Orlando was a big part of making sure that Cecilio didn't get brought back.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of rumors before that he was going to get brought back, and then that happened, and those rumors died immediately.
Yeah.
And we did fine that year.
Yeah, exactly. And I think going back to the supporter culture and our relationship with Coach Wolf is that, Wolf has never acknowledged the fans. He's not the kind of coach who, goes and like applauses away supporters or goes and awards the home supporters.
He used to.
When he was winning games,
no, because I remember the away match to Houston in 2022. Yeah. They won, and he like came out and was with supporters, and Rico told him about wearing Verde, but like that's not something you see Wolf do. Like, Wolf doesn't do meet and greets.
But he doesn't do that with you, with us, or with his players. You don't see him in like hugging after a game, or he goes
except Owen.
Except Owen, yes. But he goes and kind of I don't know, like
high fives
to, and some guys they just go like there you go, okay. But and some of them they don't even. I mean, I have during the season I had people turning the back on him. You saw that. I mean, you need to see FCTV more often
too. It's very evident.
No, but we're just reading. That all these comments about it being a Zapruder film, where the whole idea of like we're overanalyzing this and it's not real. What we're seeing isn't real. Like that's always been said. Like that everything is fine, but it's like when you watch the sport as much as we do, and like as long as some of us have, like when things are going.
And you know what? Lately, I have a bunch of I don't know if because I have a bunch of people insulting me. Like privately. But they are like with no followers or no faces or I think it's the same guy doing like
Josh Wolf burners.
kind of but
I mean, I've heard from enough people,
but it's okay. I like
that Wolf reads and watches everything Austin FC related. He has a burner.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And of course, poor Owen has to do it too. He has to see everyone calling for his dad's job, and that gets to what I've thought about too. Is like, he would benefit most probably for playing for another coach. It just seems like.
No, I don't think so. I don't think. Look at Taylor, his brother. He's not. He doesn't have the same opportunities, and he will.
No,
if Josh will be,
he earns them, and that's
he's good.
That's
he's good. Yeah, but the real thing is he's growing, so he's gonna go step by step. Mm-hmm. Right here.
I think now that he's back in MLS, we're gonna see him do better. I think that loan was not good for his career.
See, a loan like that could always just maybe not at the moment, but he saw the jump in quality, right?
Yeah.
In a sense. So he saw that what they're fighting for there. And it might have just changed his mindset. Maybe in that sense, that's what helps him. And that's what Owen and a lot of these players need. They need to see that shift, right? But where do you see that shift? In the coach.
I actually think on a club that had a better roster or a different coach, Owen actually plays on the FC2 team.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I thought. And then bring him.
At least
then
for
bring him.
another year.
You know, bring him. Bring him 2-3 games.
And his
So-
this
4
year would be
games.
kind of what happened with Fodre, of like you'd see him a little bit, but I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Okay, so we're gonna say bye, but we're gonna do, since we know people from Austin FC watch our show every single week, we're gonna tell them something. So who wants to start? Look at that camera.
Start
and
on
tell-
that end.
Let's
Oh,
start with
oh,
Jordan. Jordan, look at that camera, Jordan. No, the other one, you. La otra yo, esa. Until, you know, just like, oh, look, you want me to start? Okay, let me start. So you guys can have, ponme aquí yo. Okay. Rodo, if you're going to keep doing the same thing as you did this month, the last month, if you're going to allow Josh Wolff to do anything he wants, we're not going to do better. We're going to do worse. Okay. Voltea para allá, yo, allá. La cámara de allá.
Okay. My thought on this is like, if you're new here, if you're Roto Borrell, or even like the ownership is new, everyone involved in this club for the most part is new to Austin, Texas. And like, this isn't any other place. Like, this isn't any other. In MLS, it's so rare to have this sort of relationship between a club and a city. Like, we already have something that's really tight that you don't get for decades, in other places. Don't mess that up. Like, this isn't like, if you wanted to have like these career building projects, like these resume enhancing projects, like if your aspiration is to build something else and this is a springboard to that, then like, go to Colorado or go to Chicago Fire or somewhere that doesn't have this kind of connection with the community that Austin FC does. Like, you're actually playing, this is our time, our hearts, our passion. Our city, like normal people, you walk around the city, everyone talks about the team. Everyone talks about the last game. Everyone wondered what happened to Diego Fagundes. It just, when you do things that like don't make sense to us, it's because we're paying attention and we want something better. And yeah, I know it's a business, but you're nothing without the fans. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. Like, you can have all the sponsors in the world you want, but without butts in the stadium, without the atmosphere, you don't really have anything, nothing real.
See you, Neft.
Well,
Right there.
I want to ask Borrell, Wolff, Precourt, whose team this really is, because does this team belong and play for the fans, or does this team play for dollar bills? Because this fan base deserves a lot better, and quite frankly, the last 3 years have just been painful, aside from 3 months. So, yes, we got a chance to rebuild, but let's do it right next season. Let's actually start building and growing a legend.
Pásame aquella cámara, yo, por favor. Because he's going to start. Okay, look at the camera.
Okay, Coach Wolff, as I've said before, I know you're watching, the vibes matter. And it's very important that you understand that when you wear black, we lose. And when you wear Verde and Seafoam, we win. And I know that, here's the thing, I know you're superstitious because you wore Verde way too many times at the end of last season when we needed wins. And you clearly understand this. And I really want to know why you won't embrace that aspect when you know that it's lucky and it brings the vibes that we need.
And don't put Wolffito, por favor. Just kidding. Okay, yo, nos despedimos. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, and thank you very much. We see you next week. We're going to keep going, okay? Because MLS is still going. So we see you. Thank you, Georgina, que hoy estuvo dormida. Nos vemos.